Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Okay, I know I said I was going to stop and make a short after every stream before I start OJ, but I just don't feel like I'm too tired today. I am going to regret this in my numbers at the end of the month, but I'm tired. So let's watch OJ. Let's get into it. Plus, if we start now, we should be able to finish this video today.
Sure, when I caution you on something, I don't expect the next question to be the same thing.
Thank you, Henry. I apologize.
He's not sorry.
My question was, were you concerned with the health and welfare of OJ Simpson when you went to Rockingham?
Not until I got there. I mean, there's always a concern when you have relatives, but not until other criteria was met.
In order to make this notification now, 4 detectives arrive at Rockingham. Before you went there, because of these concerns, I take it you notified the communications department as to where you were going.
No,
Because of your concerns about welfare, I take it that you called for black and whites to meet you there.
after I got there, I did. Yes.
Upon arrival, you called for black and whites?
No, after other circumstances were met.
How long did it take for you to call for black and whites?
Probably 15, 20 minutes.
What time did you call for the black and whites?
I didn't do it. I don't know exactly.
Is that recorded in your log somewhere?
No.
You testified that for 10 to 15 minutes, 4 detectives took turns ringing the buzzer that activated a telephone that you could hear ringing from outside. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And would you say that that telephone rings for about a second before another ring comes on?
Ooh, I don't know. There were 5 or 6 rings before it stopped.
Would you say that since you could hear it outside, it would be your opinion that clearly somebody could hear it inside if somebody was inside? Is that correct?
Yes.
And would you say that 10 to 15 minutes is a very long time to ring someone?
At 5 in the morning, I don't know. I don't know whether that is or not.
Have you ever called someone to try to get someone on the telephone and let the telephone ring for 10 to 15 minutes?
I don't think so. No, I don't know for sure.
And the 4 detectives are now taking turns pushing this buzzer device on the gate?
Well, I think there were 3 of us that rang it. I don't ever recall Furman ringing the bell.
Now, Furman's role in coming there was purely to show you how to get there? Is that your testimony?
And assist?
Overrule.
You can ask.
No.
Was he coming as a backup unit for you?
No.
Was he coming to help you investigate?
No.
Was he coming to introduce you to Mr. Simpson?
No.
Was he coming to help you in the notification?
He was coming. We were going to make the notification. He was coming to assist Mr. Simpson if he needed assistance.
And he had volunteered for that?
No, we asked him to accompany us.
You asked him to come with you to help Mr. Simpson in case Mr. Simpson needed some help. Is that correct?
That was part of the reasoning, yes.
And Detective Phillips, why was he coming?
Same reason.
He was coming to see if he would help Mr. Simpson.
Yes.
And where in your reports did you indicate that this was your state of mind, sir?
I don't know that I did.
And where in your previous testimony before the grand jury did you indicate this was your previous state of mind?
I think I testified they were there to assist us.
And where in your previous testimony under oath at a preliminary hearing did you indicate the reason they were coming was to help Mr. Simpson, sir?
I again testified they were there to assist us.
After ringing the bell for 10 or 15 minutes, which activated a telephone that you clearly heard ringing, then you decided to try to call Mr. Simpson on another telephone?
That was, yes, after noticing that the place had private security, requested that we get a telephone number from them, yes.
How would that assist you if the telephone that was currently ringing was not being of any value?
We were trying anything to make contact with within the residence.
And as a policeman, do you have the ability to get the phone numbers of residents of homes?
Sometimes, not all the time.
Did you attempt to get the phone number of OJ Simpson through police channels?
I mean, did you look in the phone book? Remember those?
Yes.
What police channels did you use?
Contacted the watch commander and asked him to contact West Tech Security to see if they had a phone number for him.
What about the telephone company? Anybody think of calling the telephone company?
Well, if it's a published number, you can get it. If it's non-published, you cannot get it.
So, and even the policeman can't get that.
That's correct.
So if you called up the supervisor at the telephone company that services that area and said, this is an emergency situation, identified yourself, we have to get in touch with Mr. Simpson, can you get the phone number? They would not be able to help you
They would tell you to get a search warrant if it was a non-published number
for an emergency.
for anything.
In contacting West Tech, did you ask them to come out to the location?
I didn't contact them. I think the thrust of it was to attempt to find out if there was any travel plans and if they had a phone number.
Did anybody ask West Tech to come out to the location?
I don't know that.
Did anybody check with West Tech as to whether it was Mr. Simpson's habit and custom to notify West Tech every time he went out of town?
Not to my knowledge.
You eventually got another number that rang with the same type of ringing that you were getting from the front door. Is that correct?
From the front door?
Well, from the door, from the buzzer outside the gate.
It was a telephone number that rang, yes.
And it was the same type of ring that you heard that when you pressed the button at the gate.
I didn't make the phone call, but I would say that was probably a good assumption, yes.
And are you aware of getting a recording from an answering machine?
I was told that, yes.
And you were told that the answering machine said, "This is OJ, I'm out of town. I'll be back on Monday."
No, I don't recall that. I was told that there was an answer, something to the effect, "This is OJ, I'm not home now," or something like that.
You testified at the grand jury that the only response that came on the machine was OJ. Do you recall that testimony?
No, I don't.
Did you try to use any type of bullhorn to get Mr. Simpson's attention?
No, sir.
Did you try to flash any lights into the house to get his attention?
Other than shining my flashlight into the driveway, no.
Regarding the lighting in the driveway, you told us that the front door was well lit when you arrived. Isn't that correct?
No, I didn't say that.
Were there
No.
aren't there coach lights on the front door?
I don't know that. I recall a light being on toward the front door, someplace inside the residence, and then toward the south side of the house. And then, as I recall, there was one on upstairs that could have been the same light that was illuminating up and down.
How many times have you been to that location?
Twice.
How many times have you seen photographs of that location?
Several times. I don't know.
And it's your testimony that you don't know whether or not there are coach lights at the front entrance?
Oh, that's a possibility. I don't recall right now that there are coach lights there.
And isn't it true, sir, that there is a
Austin
halogen
answered.
street light at the adjacent corner of Ashford and Rockingham that completely illuminates the front door?
No, that wouldn't be true. The front door is recessed, as I recall. There may be a light there that illuminates part of the driveway, but the front door itself is recessed.
Does it illuminate the area walking immediately up to the front door, the brick area?
I could see up to the front of the house, yes.
And it's very bright in that area because of that halogen light, is it not?
I don't know whether it's real bright. I could see up there.
See clearly?
I could see up there. I could see there was no one there.
Now, at any time, did you give any directions to Detective Furman
Yes, and it was very bright and it illuminated the front and the back.
to conduct an investigation outside the residence?
No,
You're in charge, is that correct?
I'm one of the people in charge. Yes.
Detective Lang.
Yes.
The other people are there only to assist you.
Yes.
They're working at your direction now.
They're experienced police officers. They don't necessarily work at my direction.
Well, you would not allow them to independently do anything at the Bundy crime scene, would you?
I don't know what you mean by that. Independently do.
Any type of investigation at the Bundy crime scene, all they were allowed to do was stand in the street and wait for you to come up. Isn't that correct?
Well, I wasn't there. That was not my order.
And so therefore you wouldn't allow them to do anything at the Rockingham crime scene, would you, without your direction?
Oh, that's not true.
Objection.
They're experienced police
That is not how he testified. That is not what he said. He actually said the exact opposite.
officers.
So they can do whatever they want.
No. That's misreading. Experienced police officers have the ability to work without direct supervision at all times.
So in your opinion, Mark Furman could do whatever he wanted based on his experience at the Rockingham scene.
Again, that is exactly not what he said. He did not say that. He can't do whatever he wants. He knows what he has to do. He understands his job. He doesn't need someone directing him because he knows exactly what he's supposed to do.
Ask me that again, please.
Based on Mark Furman's experience as a detective, which you were unaware of, he had the implicit permission from you to do any investigation he wanted at the Rockingham location.
I think the four of us were working. Yes, we're all police officers.
I want to make sure I have your answer correctly. That Mark Furman had the independent right to do any investigation he wanted at the Rockingham crime scene.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Was it your state of mind as one of the two lead detectives that Mark Furman had the right, based on the fact that he was a detective, to do an independent investigation at Rockingham?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Perhaps, Your Honor,
Problem here is independent.
did Detective Furman have the right to conduct an investigation at Rockingham without your precise direction?
Of course he did. He's a Los Angeles police officer.
And that's what he did, isn't it?
Yes.
Even though he had been removed from this case and told by you that the only thing he could do was at Bundy was to secure the scene and stay outside, now at Rockingham he can do whatever he wants.
Sustained.
He's free to conduct an investigation at Rockingham. Is that correct?
He's there to assist me in the investigation. Yes.
Did you hear his testimony, sir?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear him testify that while you guys were ringing the door, he decided just to take a walk down Rockingham?
Yes.
Was that something that you asked him to do?
No, but I don't have him on a leash either.
Yeah,
He's a capable man. He's capable of walking around, and I don't follow him at all times.
isn't he there to help you?
That was part of his assistance at that point.
It's just walking around?
Sure.
Taking a little walk?
Sure, why not? I did too.
I thought this became a situation where you were really concerned about people's welfare.
This was a situation I was concerned about people's welfare.
Isn't it inconsistent if you're concerned about people's welfare that you'll just simply take a walk?
Well, I'm not sure that he simply took a walk. He walked down toward the Rockford Gate, or I'm sorry, Rockingham Gate. I don't know what his state of mind was when he was walking down through there.
Did he call you over to the Bronco?
He did at one point, yes.
How did he do that?
I was standing in the intersection or near the intersection of Ashford and Rockingham, and I saw him walk a little way toward me from the vehicle and call, "Hey, Phil, come over here."
What were you doing standing in the intersection?
I was standing adjacent or close to Detective Phillips, who was talking with one of the West Tech people.
Where was Detective Lang?
Believe he was between me in the intersection and the Ashford Gate at that time.
So you had abandoned your attempts to try to get in?
And no, we were working with West Tech, trying to get additional information at that point.
What information were you trying to get from West Tech?
If there were travel plans, if they knew whether there was anyone home, if they had access to the location.
And you had to wait for somebody from West Tech to come out? Couldn't you get that via your police radio and communication system?
Could I have?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why we were trying to secure that through the watch commander. A West Tech unit drove up. Just drove by the location.
Just kind of coincidentally, huh?
Coincidentally, he drove by and we stopped him.
Had the black and white arrived at that time?
I believe it was in the same time frame that the black and white arrived, yes.
When you drove up to Rockingham, did you notice the Bronco initially?
I saw the car parked, yes.
Did you see it parked unusually?
It looked like it was hastily parked.
Hastily parked.
Yeah.
Do you find that people who lock cars hastily park cars?
That's subjective too. I guess that could be a yes or no either way.
How far from the curb was the front wheel of the car, of the vehicle? Yes, it's a truck-like vehicle.
Closer than the rear wheel.
What's the difference? A couple inches?
I don't know.
Did you measure it?
No.
Did you ask anybody to measure it? To this day, from
No.
your photographs?
No.
Isn't it true, sir, that the curb area where there is concrete is 1 foot,
That's a possibility.
and that the tires on the front and the back are both touching that area?
As I recall from the picture, the tire in the back is sitting on the asphalt portion of the street.
How close is it to
That's
the
frustrating.
I don't know.
The fact that it was hastily parked, did that cause you any concern?
Not at that point, no.
Just something you observed as a policeman?
It's something I was driving the car. I would have either had to see the car or probably run into the car, yeah.
Have you described that as the rear end jutting out more than the front in any official reports?
Probably.
And you think that's a fair description?
Well, I think the rear end was sticking out farther than the front end, yes.
Did Mark Furman have a flashlight when he was over at the Bronco?
Mark Furman carried a flashlight on his belt, yes.
What kind of flashlight?
Small stream light,
What size?
a small stream light that was carried in a little leather holder on his belt.
when you had a more powerful flashlight?
Yes.
Did he talk to you when he asked you to come over to the Bronco?
He did when I got there, yeah.
Did he signal you over in any way?
No, he called me over.
What did he say?
Hey, Phil, come here. I want to show you something.
And what did he show you?
He showed me a spot above the door handle.
That's the first thing he showed you.
Well, I had been there previously.
Is that the first thing Mark Furman showed you? Yes or no? At the Bronco.
At what point, sir?
The time you were at Rockingham is the first thing that Mark Furman shows you a spot of blood.
No.
What's the first thing Mark Furman shows you?
I walked over there previously. Mark Furman was there. I saw he shined a light and I shined my light into the back of the vehicle. And then I walked back toward the intersection and that's when he called me back.
Did he show you into the back of the vehicle? Did he direct your attention to the back of the vehicle and tell you to look at something? Or is it your testimony that both of you simultaneously were at the back of the vehicle, both had your flashlights and both looked in and saw the same thing at the same time? Is that your testimony, sir?
No, he directed me to look in the back of the vehicle.
What did he say to you when you came over?
I really don't recall the conversation other than he directed me to look in the back of the vehicle. And as I walked up, I saw a piece of wood lying on the parkway.
Just excuse me for one moment. And what did you see when you first looked into that vehicle from the rear window?
I saw a package, I believe addressed to Orenthal Productions or something like that.
Or something like that?
Well, I don't recall the actual address. It was Orenthal Productions or OJ Simpson Productions, something like that.
Now, didn't you make a big point of saying it was Orenthal Productions and you knew that meant OJ Simpson?
Well, I knew that meant OJ Simpson, yes.
And I take it you took that as part of the evidence in this case?
Well, the entire car was impounded with it in it, yes.
So that package is in evidence.
I don't know that.
You would assume that it's in evidence.
Well, the entire car was impounded, yes.
And everything in it should be in evidence then. Is that correct? Did you see anything else at that time in the back of the car?
Yes,
What'd you see?
a shovel and a piece of plastic, what appeared to be a folded up piece of plastic, and a white cloth.
Let me show you Detective Lang in your report again. That was,
Detective Van Adder.
I'm sorry.
Detective Van Adder.
I said Detective Lang and his report. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
He's
I misheard you.
He's Detective Van Adder.
Yes, I know. I thought
Thank
you
you.
said, I thought you were addressing him as Detective Lang.
No, no, no.
right.
That's Detective.
Yes,
Uh,
I recognize him.
All right. I want to direct you to the report that you have talked about before. That is the follow-up report, and ask you to tell us where in that report it indicates that you observed the shovel in the back of the Bronco.
I think we've had this discussion previously. It doesn't.
And you kind of say that like laughing. Is there something funny about it not being in there?
Nothing at all, sir. It isn't in there.
Is there anything funny about this examination?
It's funny
Nothing whatsoever.
that you keep asking the same damn questions over and over and over and over again. That's what he was laughing at. You are a clown.
Did you find any plastic? Did you indicate in your report there was any plastic in there?
No.
Those are important things for observations for a detailed report, aren't they?
If they're important to the case, yes.
In fact, you indicated in that report at that time, Detective Furman showed you blood.
That's what the report says, yes.
That's not true, is it?
Well, I was there twice. He showed me blood at one point, yes.
But the report is not accurate and is not consistent with what you've just told us, is it?
The report is an overview of the investigation. It's not a second by second account of what occurred.
Well, whether it's second by second, there are crucial things that are not included in this report that you testified to. Is that correct?
That's possible, yes.
And you told us earlier that when you wrote this report, it was an accurate report and there were no errors or omissions in the report, did you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ask Detective Phillips to look around that truck to see if he could find any evidence?
Detective Phillips? No, I did not.
Did you ask Detective Furman to look around that truck to see if he could find any evidence?
No,
Did you ask Detective Lang to look around that truck?
no,
Did you look around that truck
yes.
after you were directed by someone else?
Well, I walked down there first and then was called over to the truck.
So what you're telling me is there are 4 detectives, 2 lead detectives that are there, and none of you examined the truck with the exception of Detective Mark Furman. Is that correct?
He was the first one that did, yes.
And he's the one who discovered the blood drop on the door handle.
That's correct, yes.
Now, you heard him testify that there were blood smears on the bottom of the door, didn't you?
I did, yes.
Did you see those?
I did at a later time. I don't recall him showing them to me that night.
You previously testified you didn't see them, haven't you?
I saw a report that was done by the criminalist. I don't recall seeing him that evening or that morning.
In fact, you previously testified you didn't see any blood on the bottom of the Bronco, didn't you?
That I didn't?
Did not.
I don't recall seeing any blood on the bottom of the Bronco.
And where in your report did you indicate that there was, in addition to a spot on the door handle, that there was blood on the bottom of the Bronco, sir?
Where did I indicate that?
Yes.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Did you indicate it in your report?
I don't know. I would have to read the entire report to tell you that.
Well, I don't want to interrupt the valuable jury time now. Maybe you can do that tonight and read that report and give us that answer tomorrow. We'll go on to something else.
Objection. The motion is strike.
Jurors to disregard the comment.
All I'm saying is he finally said he was going to move on to something else, which we all want, and it was objected to and sustained. What's that?
The time sequence of arriving at Rockingham was at about 5:05.
Between 5:05 and 5:10, yeah.
Then you went to the front gate on Ashford and rang the bell for 10 to 15 minutes.
That's correct.
That takes you to about 5:20 or 5:25.
Approximately, yes.
And at that point in time, Detective Furman starts to walk away from your group.
At what point in time?
What I'm going to ask you, at what point in time does Detective Furman start to walk away from the group?
Well, we were all moving around there. We weren't standing in a real tight cluster. We were all moving around.
Yeah, but he went down Rockingham.
Yes, he did. At one point, I believe when we originally stopped the first West Tech unit, I saw him walking down the street.
What time was that?
Would have probably been around 5:30 in the morning,
That
5:25, 5:30.
he first walked towards the Bronco.
That I saw him, yes.
And the first time that you looked in the Bronco was what time?
Just shortly after that, I walked down there,
Give us an estimate.
5:25, 5:30.
And then you came back.
Then I walked back toward where the West Tech unit was with Detective Phillips.
And how long
Yeah.
had you spend there?
Short time, he made a phone call inside the residence and told me that he had gotten a answer phone.
And that's when you were trying to locate OJ Simpson.
Still trying to this entire time, yes.
And why didn't you ask West Tech for an emergency number for OJ?
Well, I think that was the purpose of us asking them.
And didn't they have, in case of emergency, to contact his secretary?
I don't know that. I don't
Because
know.
you didn't ask, right?
I didn't ask, no.
And you didn't ask anyone to ask.
I didn't even know that he had a secretary.
And nobody thought of that question, did they?
I don't think that was asked, not to my knowledge.
And then you went back the second time to look at the Bronco?
I was called back, yes,
What time was that?
around 5:30.
And how long did you spend at the Bronco at that time?
Not very long, short time. We spoke. Maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. I
That
don't know
takes you to
exactly.
5:35?
Approximately, yeah.
And when you saw that little speck, I take it at that point in time, you wanted to check the entire Bronco to see if there was any other blood or any other possible evidence. Did you not?
At that point, I was becoming very concerned about the location. And I could see that the vehicle was locked. And my concern at that point was that maybe I had another crime scene or someone injured or hurt.
How could you see the vehicle was locked?
You could see the lock knobs on the door.
What about the rear gate latch? Did you check that?
No, I did not.
So you don't know if that was open or locked, did you?
No, I don't.
What was the difference whether the vehicle was locked or not?
Well, I was.
Did you want to get into it?
No, not
You
at
had
that
no-
point.
You had just come from a bloody crime scene. You are now at the home of somebody who had previously been involved in domestic violence situations. You see a shovel in the back and blood on the car, and you do not want to look in that car? Is that your testimony, sir?
No, my testimony is I was concerned with any possible occupants that may be at the home.
You've already told us that. You were concerned about OJ Simpson's welfare when you saw that, right?
OJ Simpson and possibly a maid that was supposed to be there, yes.
And so you voiced that concern to the West Tech people, didn't you? And say, this is an emergency. We've got to find OJ and the maid, didn't you?
I believe that was related to him by Detective Phillips, yes.
And you asked them to find emergency numbers so you could find OJ because now an emergency had developed, did you not?
I didn't know.
You asked other officers to do that, didn't you?
I believe Phillips was doing that.
Was doing that?
Yeah.
Do you have any information that he did do that?
Phillips was talking with West Tech. I don't know that he asked him for emergency numbers. I don't even know that they have to this day that they have an emergency number on it.
You haven't checked that, have you?
No, I have not.
That wouldn't be something you'd want to know, is it?
At this point, I don't think so.
Your Honor, can you just tell me how long you would like me to continue? I have a lot more material to cover.
A lot more.
Yes.
How about we just talked about two other subject matter
Yes,
areas?
but it's going to take a while to get to those two subjects.
Well, I prefer you go at least to the quarter till.
Thank you.
That'll give us the full afternoon session.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Your Honor. Thank you. I take it at that point in time, you immediately called the command post and said, we have a potential emergency situation here. We're going in.
No, I didn't.
Isn't that proper police procedure?
That would depend on the situation.
Well, you've previously testified under oath that you thought there might be suspects related to the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson at the OJ Simpson residence, have you not?
I was not really concerned with suspects at that time. I was concerned with the welfare of the occupants of the home.
My question was, have you previously testified there may be suspects there?
Well, there could have been suspects there.
No,
I didn't know
question-
what was there.
My question was, have you previously testified there were suspects there?
Like I said, sir, there could have been suspects there. There could have been victims. I didn't know what was there.
And it could have been a murder, another murder scene. You've testified to that previously.
Certainly could have, yes.
And people could be dying there. You've heard testimony to that by other officers, have you not?
Well, that was my feeling too. That
People
was
could
one of the
be-
possibilities.
People could be bleeding.
Absolutely.
You could have a hostage situation.
That was a possibility.
You could have a kidnapping.
I don't know that related to a kidnapping. Any possible scenario is possible. It could have been anything. I didn't know what was there.
No, I'm asking about what you or others have previously testified could have been the situation of regarding your state of mind when you were at Rockingham.
Is that a question?
Yes.
My state of mind was I was concerned with the occupants of the home. I was concerned that I could have another crime scene. People could be injured. This could have been an extension of the murders that I had just left. There could be people down. There could be injured people. It could have been any scenario.
So this is where your adrenaline really starts to rush, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know that that's a fair statement with me. I don't have big adrenaline rushes.
No. You've been doing it long enough that.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I don't have big adrenaline rushes.
Must have been a pretty scary situation to go in that location not knowing what was there with your experience. Isn't that correct?
Every situation you go into, you have butterflies because you don't know what you're going into.
And there are people who are specially trained for the situations you just enumerated, aren't there?
There's people specially trained for tactical situations, yes.
Aren't there people specially trained for hostage situations?
Tactical situations, yes.
Well, I don't know what that means, but hostage situations, I know
Well,
what that
a
means.
hostage situation is a tactical situation.
So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And aren't there people specially trained if somebody is dying or bleeding? How to save lives. You're not trained in that, are you?
Well, I'm CPR certified.
Are you
But-
are you a paramedic?
No. Excuse me, first aid certified. I'm sorry, I misspoke that. I think to take the time to call someone from another location to come and check that would be a dereliction of duty. I think it was our duty to go in there and look and see if there was something wrong.
Well, you've already been out there for 35 minutes and seemed to be pretty casual about what was going on. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have time to make a phone call with one of 4 officers? to
Objection.
Call for either a
Objection.
backup unit or call a command post and say, hey, I don't know what we have, but we better get some more support here. We better get some paramedics. We better get some emergency equipment.
He is the support. He is the person to do that. He doesn't call someone to do that. He is the person. And then if there's someone laying on the ground, bleeding out, dying, calls an ambulance. If there's a hostage situation after he finds it, he calls the team. He's the one, though, sir.
I really don't know what we have, but I'm telling you, my instincts as a detective tell me it is serious.
We
Did you
called
do
for a
that?
backup unit. We had a black and white vehicle there.
Well, that was already there.
We called for them.
That was before you decided it was an emergency.
No, that was part of the process. That was the emergency came back from a set of circumstances that didn't all occur at one time. And that was a set of circumstances that occurred over a period of time.
So you had a patrol vehicle there.
Yes, that's correct.
Specially trained officers or not?
Uniformed police officers.
How many?
2.
And did you give them any direction at the time they arrived?
I don't think I talked to them when they first arrived. I don't think I actually spoke to him.
You called for him. It was an emergency situation. You had to come out, but you didn't tell him what to do?
I think we're talking semantics. I think you're relating to a tactical situation. I'm talking about an emergency situation. They're two different things.
Well, let's say it was an emergency situation that you're referring to. In an emergency situation, you've called for a black and white backup. They come and rush to the location, and you don't tell them what to do, what the emergency is?
Again,
He doesn't have to tell them what to do. They are trained police officers. You know, when I get to work every day, my boss does not tell me what I need to go do. I do my job. I know what my job is. I don't need someone to tell me, hey, go get table 2 some water. I know.
I think
And he's still my boss. Could be. They could be all wearing makeup because they're all on TV. There was a lot of coverage of them. They were in everybody's kitchens and living rooms for a year.
we're talking semantics. I think what you're relating to is a tactical situation where you know the situation that you have. And you could say that you have a tactical situation that's an emergency if you know you have a suspect, or you know you have a hostage, or you know for a fact that you have someone that's injured. We didn't know all these things. This was a situation that had to be determined.
So you don't believe in being prepared?
I
Yes.
don't understand.
Yep.
I don't believe in.
That's exactly what he said there. Yep. That you nailed it. You nailed it. All of those words that he said that meant something completely different really means I don't like to be prepared. That's what he said. Yep. Could you imagine being married to that? Ugh.
Being prepared. I think I go into every situation attempting to be prepared.
So at that point in time, did you alone determine that it was time to jump over the wall?
There was a decision that was made from speaking with my partner and the other two detectives.
So it was a joint decision by you, Mark Furman, and Detective Phillips?
Mainly myself and Detective Lang.
Well, when you say mainly, did all of you discuss it or just the two
Well,
of
we
you
were all
discuss it?
standing there talking. It was a decision that was left up to myself and Lang.
And you both said, let's go in?
Exactly.
And you elected Mark Furman because he was the youngest and the most athletic to climb the wall.
That's part of the reason, yes.
Did he have any protective gear on when he went over the wall?
No, he did not.
Did you have any protective gear on backing him up?
No,
Did any of the two other officers, detectives there, have protective gear on?
not to my knowledge.
Did anybody pull out any shotguns to back them up in case you were going to encounter a suspect or suspects inside?
No.
Did you notify the two uniformed officers to come up and back you up that you're going in now?
I think they were called to the gate to stand by the gate, yes.
They were?
Yes, I believe so.
Where in your report did you indicate that?
I don't know that I did.
Where in your previous testimony have you said that?
I said I think they were called to the Ashford gate, or they came over there on their own when we went over the fence.
Are you telling this jury that you did not sit down with two uniformed officers, tell them what the emergency was and give them instructions to cover your back because you four guys are going in?
They were told we were going in.
Did you tell them what to do?
To stand by the gate.
Just to stand there?
Yeah.
Did you tell them to get shotguns, get ready? This is what we've got, guys. This is a potential emergency. You never said that, did you?
No, again, Mr. Shapiro, I think you're confusing an emergency situation with a tactical situation. If I would have had a tactical situation and knew that I had a suspect, or knew that I had a hostage, or knew that I had a murder suspect in there, it would have been handled totally different. This was a situation where I was worried that something had occurred there, possibly like had occurred at Monday.
So now you're concerned with the health and welfare of OJ Simpson and the maid. And you're going in to say, where's OJ and where's the maid? Right?
where is anybody that may be at that location?
Well, you didn't know who was expected to be there, did you?
I had no idea, no.
So you didn't know what you were looking for. Is that your testimony?
I didn't know what if anything had occurred there. That's
So you didn't know
correct.
what you were doing there, did you?
Yes, I did.
What were you doing there?
I went there originally to make a notification to meet Mr. Simpson. The two detectives were assisting me. Once I got there, the situation changed with the information we had received and the evidence that we saw.
And now you're going in to look for people.
That's correct.
You go to the front door and ring the front doorbell.
Yes,
You get no response.
that's correct.
Do you force entry?
No,
Why not?
because at that point I didn't think it was appropriate.
You were very concerned at that point in time, weren't you?
Yes, we were making arrangements for a possible forced entry of the place.
Where have you testified to that previously? You didn't tell the grand jury that, did you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Where in your reports did you indicate that you were making arrangements for a forced entry, sir?
I don't believe it's in the reports.
Who did you notify at police headquarters or communications that you were preparing a forced entry?
No one.
What preparations did you make for a forced entry?
Detective Phillips contacted the watch commander and asked him to send a West Tech unit back to the location that we may have to make forced entry into the location.
So for an emergency situation like this, now you're going to have the security of West Tech going in with you. Is that your testimony?
Well, at that point, we had 6 police officers there, sir.
Well, you had 25 standing around the murder scene, didn't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
Did you call any of them over?
No,
They were only 5 minutes away, weren't they?
that's correct.
When you went in, did you start making some noise to try to arouse the occupants?
Yes, we were talking. We were knocking on doors.
Were you yelling?
No.
Were you making your presence known?
Well, I think our presence would have been known. We had flashlights. We were talking. We were knocking on doors. We were moving around the grounds.
You were talking to each other, weren't you?
That's correct.
You were
Yes.
knocking, OJ, are you here? Is there any problem? Are you okay? Were you doing those things?
No.
Did you decide where to go? Where 4 officers coming in, virtually unprotected, are going to walk around this enormous estate in the darkness? Did you make any plan as to how you were going to protect yourselves?
That's part of our job to do things like that. The protection is probably by numbers. There was no set plan.
So you didn't say, one guy will go to this side and I'll back him up, and you and your partner go here, we'll back you up. It's just, okay, guys, let's see what we can find. And you guys started walking around?
I never had the feeling that I was in a dangerous situation at any point. I felt that I may have an emergency situation, but I never felt a personal danger at that location.
Did you want to move quickly?
I don't know that that's true. I was trying to look the grounds over to see if I could see anything on the grounds as I was moving.
Did you tell everybody, let's check the grounds first? Was that your plan?
Well, I think that's just typical police work. As you're moving, you're looking. I was shining my light under the trees and everything to see if I could see anything.
All right, well, first of all, when you come in, right to the right, you see a playhouse. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've been inside that playhouse, haven't you?
I've been beside of it. I don't know that I was inside.
Have you seen people inside it? Is it big enough for somebody to walk into?
Yes.
I take it that's the first place where you'd want to look, inside that playhouse, to see if there was any problem. Is that correct?
We were looking all over the grounds.
So you went in the playhouse.
In the dishwasher. That's the very first thing I would check. I would open the dishwasher.
Is that correct?
No, I didn't.
Did you open the door of the playhouse?
No.
Did you knock on the playhouse?
No.
Did you just simply ignore the playhouse?
The main concern was the residents at that
What
point.
about Pee Wee? Where was Pee Wee?
And all 4 of you went to the front door of the residence together?
That's correct.
And how long did you stay at the front door?
2 or 3 minutes, something like that.
Ringing the bell,
Ringing the bell, knocking on the door. Yeah.
but not yelling or shouting or asking for anyone inside.
No.
And then where did you go?
Myself personally,
Yeah, you.
I walked back out to the driveway and walked north to the east-west walkway that walks along the north side of the house.
Shining your flashlight, looking in the bushes, looking in the shrubbery.
That's correct.
Was
yes.
it dark back there?
Yeah, it was dark.
Was that kind of unnerving for you?
No.
Not knowing what you had back there?
I think I testified I didn't feel any personal danger at any time that night.
So there'd be no need at any time for you ever to draw a gun at that location, would there?
I never felt that need, no.
Did you tell anybody to go knock on any other doors? Was there any instruction given by you or Detective Lang as the lead detectives there?
Was that a question?
Yeah.
Was there any instruction?
Right.
No, I think we were working as a group.
Kind of improvising as you went along.
Looking the grounds over, looking for
Objection.
people, yes.
How long did you spend looking in the grounds looking for people?
Well, this happened the entire time we were there. When I was outside, I was looking around.
How long were you outside looking for people?
He's still there.
I don't know exactly. We walked around the side of the house to the back. I was shining my light, maybe 5 or 10 minutes total. I looked the grounds over.
Was that enough time to look everywhere in those grounds?
Well, at some point there, everybody that was supposed to be on the location had been accounted for, and that's when I stopped looking around.
No, but you were looking for people who might be injured.
Again, at a point, people that were supposed to be there were accounted for, and that's when I stopped looking around.
When was OJ Simpson accounted for? What time?
After 6 a.m.
What time was he accounted for, sir?
I don't know what time the phone call was made.
You don't have any records regarding what time the phone call was made?
Yeah, there are phone records, yes.
You haven't looked at those?
No, I haven't seen them in front of me.
You don't think that's an important aspect of this case?
I can look at the phone record and tell you exactly what time the phone call was made.
You didn't keep any records regarding what time you did anything at the Rockingham location, did you?
Keep any records as to time?
Time anything happened at Rockingham?
Oh, that's not true.
You did keep such records?
There's a search warrant that indicates items that were found there, yes.
Did you keep any records as to what time you did things at the Rockingham location? What time you arrived? What time you went to the Bronco? What time you did everything you have testified to? Are there any such records, sir?
Other than phone records, no.
And isn't that part of good record keeping to make sure that the chronological record is in order for all important aspects of this case?
That's part of record keeping, yes.
This is a good place to stop, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the afternoon session. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. Do not allow anybody to communicate with you.
He's so rude to him. He treats him like everything he did was, with crayons and safety scissors. This is not a good place for me to stop, Judge. Can you keep going for a couple more minutes? Thank you.
Detective Van Adder, you may step down. You're ordered to return at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We will stand in recess as far as the jury is concerned until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I'd like to see counsel on the discovery matters after a short recess. All right, that's yours. Thank you, counsel. And present before the court with his counsel, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Bailey. People represented by Ms. Clark and Mr. Darden. Yes, we do. All right, either counsel wish to be heard.
Yes, now with respect to the issue that the court asked to address this morning.
One other matter before we get to that, Your Honor. Will the court assist us in the testimony of several witnesses? There's been mention of the homicide manual updated and also the LAPD manual. The court will recall at one time we had a LAPD manual here that was sent back. Will the court assist, I think, perhaps both sides in getting a manual, both manuals here today if possible?
94 editions.
The 94 editions. Is that a yes?
Done.
Okay, thanks, Judge.
Your Honor, I would like to begin by extending my sincere apology, very sincere apology for being late this morning. And I got on the freeway and didn't move for half an hour, but I understand, I left early thinking that would be enough time, but it unfortunately wasn't. And I do deeply apologize to the court for being late this morning. I don't know what
Proceed.
else to say. With respect to the matter that the court wanted me to address this morning, first of all, as I indicated earlier, the statements are not relevant. First of all, indirect, the witness did not testify to any matters contained within the search warrant, nor any matters that would pertain to valid impeachment from that search warrant.
Excuse me, Governor.
The-
May I suggest that Detective Van be excused from this?
Yes. Detective Van Adder, would you step out and wait outside in the hallway, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Clark.
The issue here is really what relevance do these statements have? Under 352, they are clearly, it's going to be an undue consumption of time to admit them, number one thing, as a broad general issue. If the defense, because if the defense is permitted to go into this with respect to impeachment on the two matters that were indicated yesterday in chambers, then the people should be entitled properly to go into all of the matters in the affidavit that were correct. What we will wind up doing is essentially litigating the validity of the warrant in front of the jury. That the warrant and its averments are not properly before a jury, as is stated in 1538.5M. The sole purpose of litigating the validity of a search warrant is to determine whether or not it states probable cause. Probable cause determinations are not the province of the jury, they are the province of the judge. And the court has already made its ruling with respect to the validity of the search warrant. To the extent that the court deems it appropriate to allow the statements of the affidavit to be used as prior inconsistent statements, there is no inconsistency that it can be attached to. The trial testimony of Detective Van Adder is what we have to base the determination of prior inconsistency on. There have been no statements. There has been no foundation at this time, to this point, that would permit for the admission of the search warrant statements as prior inconsistent statements. Then in that case, the analysis has to be a People versus Wheeler, other bad act analysis, and whether or not these statements amount to acts of moral turpitude. We submit that there is no way that we could possibly state that they amount to that. And in fact, by virtue of the fact that the court itself found, number one, that even though these were misstatements, they were not material misstatements such that they would invalidate the warrant as a whole. That makes them the court in essence has made a determination that these are collateral matters, because the statement about the unexpected flight to Chicago and the human blood on the Bronco door are neither of them material misstatements. The court found reckless disregard with respect to those statements, but nevertheless found that the warrant was sufficient and did state probable cause, but never did the court find them to be material. That in itself indicates the collateral nature of this kind of impeachment. And that's really the essence and the focus of the people's argument here, is that we have counsel attempting to open his own door, which is not permitted, for the purpose of cross-examining on collateral matters. People versus Reyes, 62 Calap 3rd at 53 at page 62. People versus Taylor, 8 Cal 3rd, 174, and People versus Laverne, Lavergne, 4 Cal 3rd, 735, all of which indicate that a party may not cross-examine a witness on collateral matters for the purpose of eliciting something to be contradicted, which is what counsel in this case proposes to do. What is stated in the search warrant affidavit is relevant to what the witness is relevant to the validity of the search warrant.
But isn't what's likely to happen is Mr. Shapiro will ask Detective Van Adder, did you make any mistakes in that search warrant affidavit? And he'll probably say, yes, I did. I made 2 mistakes or 3 mistakes, X and Y and Z, and that'll be the end of it, won't it?
What?
I mean,
Well, no, he may ask that. I would object as irrelevant.
Mhm.
What he puts in it, what is put into a search warrant affidavit is not relevant material for a jury to hear.
But
Because
Detective Van Adder yesterday testified that he did take some notes, and he included in that definition the search warrant affidavit that day, if you recollect the testimony yesterday.
I recollect the testimony, but what I recollect is that that was Mr. Shapiro's characterization and not Detective Van Adder's. And we can go back to that portion of the transcript. But as I recall, Detective Van Adder resisted that definition because it really did not comport with what his definition of notes were. And Mr. Shapiro kept insisting that it was part of his notes, but that was his characterization, not Detective Van Adder's. I don't think it was ever adopted by him. It was part of the things that he wrote in this case, of the many writings that he's done in this case with the chronological log, et cetera. But I do not recall the witness adopting that definition. Those were words put in his mouth by Mr. Shapiro.
Let me ask you another question about the strongest argument that you raise is the collateral nature of the impeachment or the evidence. Let's not even call it impeachment at this point. You indicate that then that would require you to go through the affidavit and show everything that was correct,
Right.
to rebolster Detective Van Adder's testimony. Do you also think that that would require the proof of the substantive facts that are in dispute, the fact that this was an unanticipated trip to Chicago, and that at the time that the search warrant affidavit was written, no test had been completed with regards to whether or not it was human blood? My recollection of our discussions at the 1538 is that it was only a presumptive test for blood and
Correct.
not a determination that it was human blood.
That's correct. What we'd be required to do at that point is to explain through the testimony of Detective Van Adder and other witnesses precisely what brought him to the point where he made those statements in the affidavit. With respect to the conclusion that it was human blood on the door of the Bronco, the people concede it was a presumptive test for blood, and yet it was a logical conclusion that the blood placed on the door handle of a car would be by a human being. As we've stated before, I don't know how many animals know how to drive cars or could reach the door handle of a Bronco. And I don't think the defense is going to be able to argue anything to the contrary with respect to that. With respect, however, to the unexpected flight, now we're going to get into issues of what exact information was imparted to the officer who spoke to Kathy Randa, and what information exactly was imparted from that officer to Detective Van Adder, if any, and what witnesses talked to Detective Van Adder to lead him to the conclusion that it was an unexpected flight. We're going to now convene the mini trial of the search warrant affidavit. And that will include not just of course, the statements that counsel wants to elicit as being incorrect, but then to bolster his credibility, we are going to have to go back to all of the numerous statements that were absolutely correct to establish not only the fact that this was not a sloppy job, but to establish also the fact that there was no intentional misstatement. Because obviously, if he's writing a warrant that contains such abundant probable cause, why jeopardize it by deliberately misstating something to mislead a magistrate, which is what the defense is probably going to be arguing, that there was a deliberate attempt to mislead. Obviously, when you have an entire search warrant where everything else is correct, and you have a couple of things that are arguably incorrect, and with respect to the unexpected flight, although factually incorrect, as we later determined, the issue is really what Detective Van Adder knew at the time. And that's another reason that this is collateral impeachment. This goes to Detective Van Adder's state of mind. At the time he wrote it, this is what he believed based on a certain set of circumstances and a certain amount of information that he had. That it later developed through the investigation that was incorrect does not impeach his veracity at the time he made the statement. It simply goes to show that later investigation disprove some aspect of what he believed to be true at the time he wrote it. So it doesn't even impeach with respect to his credibility. It simply shows that further investigation revealed facts to the contrary. How is that valid impeachment? How is that fair impeachment? Again, we get into 352 issues, an undue consumption of time in which he's going to have to explain exactly what information he had, where he got it, what led him to that conclusion, and call the witnesses back to the witness stand to explain what they told him, why they told him that, and at what point. And then at what point it was later determined to be otherwise. With respect to that, with respect to the human blood and any other misstatements that, I don't know of any other actually, but with respect to all of that. So we now are going to convene a mini trial on what's true and not true in the affidavit, basically requiring the jury to review an area that is not within their province, an area that has already been litigated fully and completely and properly under the statutes before this court. And this court made its determination. What the council is now going to do is reopen an area that is not meant to be in the province of the jury, and rightfully so, because as the court will see, we will then convene the mini trial of the search warrant affidavit written by Detective Van Adder and derail the trial and spend another week on testimony that should be concluded today.
All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Shapiro?
Your Honor, one of the central themes of the defense of this case is the credibility of witnesses. And we are dealing in an area here where the court has already made an extreme finding regarding the credibility of Detective Van Adder.
Severe, not extreme.
Severe, better word. An extreme finding would be that it was willfully false.
Correct.
And the jury is entitled to see what this man has stated under oath to a magistrate for the purpose of getting a warrant, and for me to examine what he knew at the time he got that warrant. These are not collateral issues. These statements are going to come directly from Brian Cato Kalin as to what he told Detective Van Adder, and will come directly from the very skimpy 2 paragraphs of notes that were the only notes taken by Detective Van Adder besides his recordations in the search warrant. And so it's very clear that this is impeachable material, highly relevant, and goes to the essence of what our case is about, and that is credibility. And that's what we've stressed from day one.
Mr. Shapiro, what concerns me most is Ms. Clark's 352 issue and her argument that this will necessitate a mini trial as to the content of the search warrant affidavit and all the other individuals who were involved.
I think this may be the quickest part of cross-examination we've seen in the trial. It will take much less time than we've taken over the last 2 hours from yesterday and today in arguing this issue. It simply is, did you put in the affidavit that a chemist told you there was human blood?
I can be fairly certain, without knowing the answer to this, that there is absolutely nothing mini at all in the OJ trial. Nothing is mini.
Blood on the car. We know a presumptive test means only that it could be blood, but it could be other substances.
So you're telling me you could do this cross-examination as to these 2 specific issues in 5 or 6 questions?
I can't say 5 or 6 questions because it depends on the answer. As you know, Detective Van Adder is an experienced officer of 26 years, and he does not like to directly answer a question. So if he directly answered yes or
My
no.
question was, do you think you can do this in 5 or 6 questions?
I can do it in the questions, but as you know, cross-examination depends on the answers. If he is honest and says yes or no, and yes, I made a mistake, or yes, I made a material misrepresentation, it can be very quick. But if he is not as forthcoming, then we are going to have to show him what he wrote, how he did it before, and the information he had at hand. In any event, it will not be a lengthy part of the examination.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Shapiro.
May I ask? make one further point, Your Honor. I'm getting the distinct impression from counsel that that there is some belief on this side of counsel table that they can admit the court's findings with respect to the search warrant in their questioning of this witness before the jury. And that would be absolutely inappropriate. I don't think the court
No,
disagrees.
I agree with that. That, how it's phrased is very careful. Did you say, as I understand Mr. Shapiro's argument, I think the gist of what the question will be is, did you indicate to the magistrate in the search warrant affidavit that there had been a test for human blood? Yes or no? Did you indicate to the magistrate in the search warrant affidavit that Mr. Simpson's trip to Chicago was unanticipated? Yes or no? Thinking about this last night, I could do this in 4 questions.
It could be, but it won't be. And once he gets into that, Your Honor, we're going to have to respond.
No, but if I allow it, it will be.
Well, yeah. Well, no, what I meant is I don't mean that. What I meant is,
Or
if you,
I'll do the questioning.
I would have no objection to Your Honor asking the questioning and the search warrant and telling the jury what they're finding.
okay, Your Honor, could you do my next 3 witnesses too? What I meant, Your Honor, was
In the
not.
Talmudic courts, there are no lawyers. It's just the judge asking questions.
I think it's a great idea.
I think so too.
But they don't have any juries either, do they?
No.
Right. What I was suggesting to the court is that I don't think that it will be, I don't think that if permitted to do this questioning, counsel will conclude it quite that expeditiously. And one has to also consider that the people would then be entitled to counter with all of the correct statements and all the things that were done properly in that search warrant affidavit. It's going to be a lot of time we're going to wind up spending on an issue that is clearly collateral. Okay, I've already made that argument, but I'm not going to make it again, Your Honor, but I do wish that the court would instruct counsel not to question the witness on this, Your Honor's rulings with respect to this warrant.
All right. Thank you, counsel. All right, Mr. Shapiro, Ms. Clark, I am going to allow limited questioning of Detective Van Etter as to those 2 statements in the search warrant affidavit. And as I've indicated to counsel, it's a very limited number of questions that I'm going to allow in that area. Likewise, the redirect as to rehabilitation will be somewhat limited as well. Also, Mr. Shapiro, I'm going to direct you not to mention in this not to ask any questions that call for legal conclusions or that indicate the court's previous ruling or findings with regards to the search warrant affidavit, which are irrelevant as far as the jury is concerned. Is that understood? All right, let's proceed.
Your Honor, we also have 2 other matters that we'd like to present. One is a video of Detective Van Etter going over the Bundy crime scene. We would like to show that with the court's permission.
Have you shown this to opposing counsel?
They've already seen it once before. They've seen it several times.
Has it been admitted before?
This is the original laser disc that we showed them at the beginning. We have no problem in showing that to them again.
How long is it?
Was it a couple minutes? A couple of seconds.
Do you want to preview that, Mr. Darden?
Yes, we objected before and we'll probably object again.
All right.
And the other thing we would like to present to the court is I have this morning given Mr. Darden a map of Los Angeles showing the distance between Parker Center, Piper Tech, where the crime lab is located, and the Bundy residence and the Rockingham residence. And we would like to put this up on the Elmo.
And I have no objection to Mr. Shapiro showing the map to Detective Van Etter. I do, however, object to the distances indicated on the map. He indicates that Parker Center to Piper Tech is 1 mile and that Parker Center to Rockingham is 18.7 miles. And I would object to the introduction of that before the jury without further foundation, as far as the distances are concerned.
Whatever you say is correct, we'll substitute it.
Well, I'm not testifying. The witness is testifying.
We got that from a computer program, that those are the shortest distances to those points.
All right, I'm going to allow the use of the map subject to a foundational objection. All right, let's have the jurors, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
You gonna show the videotape?
Yeah, let me see the laser.
Okay. All right. This is a very good stopping point before he opens his mouth again. Okay. No, I'm not streaming all day. It's my daughter's birthday. I'm gonna wake her up in 1 minute, and I'm gonna take her out. I got a special place to take her, and then later on we're going to the casino with a friend. Well, thank you so much for coming out today, guys. I really appreciate it. I really do. I shall see you guys. What is today? Today's Monday, so I will see you tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys. Thank you.